Okay, good evening. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council for Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Rohrbach. Here. Kozlowski.
Here.
Leary.
Here.
Rathel.
Here.
And Aquino.
Here, and if you'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. City Attorney, do we have any agenda updates?
None tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay, that takes us to business from the floor. This is the public's opportunity to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. But please understand that state law prohibits us from taking action or deliberating on items that are not on the agenda. If anybody wants to speak tonight on any item, we ask that you fill out a blue card in the back and give it to Corporal Rice up here. Do we have any requests to speak?
You have no request to speak this evening under business from the floor.
All right, then call the next item, please.
All right, that takes us to your first scheduled presentation item this evening. This will be a resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Lake College women's soccer team for their back-to-back 3C2A championships and outstanding achievements in 2023 and 2024.
All right, ladies, come on up. Dr. Pimentel, come on up. Will Garcia, Donnie Roboto, anybody else who is with this group, come on up. All the way up here. How are you guys?
Hi, good. How are you? I know.
Line up right here, face that direction because Andrew's going to get a photograph. All right, I'm going to hand this to Coach Roboto. I would just like to see first, with a show of hands, how many of you ladies went to high school in Folsom? Any of you? Raise your hand. One? Really? One out of all these people? Wow. Okay, well, we are thrilled to have the Folsom Lake College women's soccer team here. This is a resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Lake College women's soccer team for back-to-back 3C2A championships and outstanding achievements in 2023 and 2024. Whereas the Folsom Lake College women's soccer team has demonstrated excellence, determination, and sportsmanship, winning back-to-back California Community College Athletic Association state championships in 2023 and 2024, marking an historic achievement as they became the first Northern California college to accomplish this feat since 1996. And whereas the 2023 championship marked an historic milestone as the first ever 3C2A state championship for Folsom Lake College women's soccer. And whereas in 2024, the Falcons claimed the 3C2A championship with a remarkable season record of 21 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws, securing the title with a victory at American River College in Sacramento, California. And whereas in addition to their state championship, the Falcons dominated the 2024 Big 8 Conference, winning the conference championships and solidifying their place as one of the top collegiate soccer programs in California. Now, therefore, I, Sarah Aquino, Mayor of the City of Folsom, on behalf of the Folsom City Council and the Folsom community, do hereby extend commendations in the highest regard to the Folsom Lake College women's soccer team, coaching staff, and their supporters for their exceptional achievements in 2023 and 2024. The city looks forward to celebrating their continued success in the years to come. Commended this 25th day of February, 2025. All right. Everybody look straight ahead real quick. All right, Dr. Pimentel or Coach Roboto, anybody want to say a few words?
Thank you so much. Mayor Aquino and members of the Folsom City Council, thank you so much for this acknowledgement. My name is Dr. Art Pimentel. I have the honor of serving as president of Folsom Lake College. And what could I say? We're absolutely proud of these young ladies for their success, for their tenacity, and really for serving as role models to many young girls. I brought my young daughter here who also plays soccer so she could see what success looks like, and it's in all of you. And so we just really appreciate the acknowledgement. We appreciate them for their hard work, and we couldn't be more proud at Folsom Lake College for all of that they do. I want to also acknowledge Coach Donnie Robato and give him the opportunity to talk a little bit about just all of the work that they do, acknowledge some of the staff, and also talk a little about his culture of success, the philosophy that really not only do we have these wonderful women who play soccer, but they also are a huge success when it comes to their education, which is exactly what we want them to do. So, Coach.
Thank you. Huge accomplishment for our program. In 2013, I had the opportunity to move back to the foothills here and start this program from scratch. And the women's soccer team was the first team sport at Folsom Lake College. So in 2023, we won the first state title for Folsom Lake College. And then to do it back-to-back years is a remarkable achievement. Really proud of this group of student athletes. We did have the culture of success, you're right, but we recently embraced another slogan, which was the culture of gratitude. And so we're very grateful to be a part of this community, to represent the community and represent the college. We're really grateful for all the things that we have in terms of support for women's soccer, but for the whole athletic department. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for representing Folsom Lake College so well and the city of Folsom. So congratulations. All right, call the next item, please. You guys are welcome to stay. We have a lot of riveting items on the agenda, but if you want to go, this is your chance to escape.
They're going to miss the thing about the roundabouts.
All right, your next item this evening is scheduled presentation. Item number 2, this is a resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Junior Bulldogs for earning the 2024 Excellence in Academics and Athletic Awards. All the Bulldogs out in the hallway, line them up and bring them on in.
All right, come on up. I think we have Heather Martinez and Cam Hodson.
Dan Smith.
Oh, Dan Smith. All right.
About that.
That's okay.
Change of operations last minute.
Are they coming in here so they can hear all these whereases?
We let parents in first, so
Okay.
that kids are in order.
Got it. Okay.
We said that someone would call in
Okay.
and if we heard them on ask them to do their research.
Okay.
There's a mic out, or speaker
You
in the
guys want
hallway
to say
they
the
can
names? You know
hear.
how to pronounce them all? Okay, but I'll read this first whereas.
Yep,
Okay. All right.
sounds good, thank you.
Yeah, of course. If this is your first time to City Hall, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Feel free to take a seat, but if you need to come up and take a picture at the appropriate time, you're welcome to do that. As soon as these student athletes get in here, we'll read a bunch of whereases, and then we'll get on to the awards. All right, well, they're filing in. I'm going to go ahead and read this resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Junior Bulldogs for earning the 2024 Excellence in Academics and Athletics Award. Whereas the Folsom Junior Bulldogs is an official youth football and cheer association in Folsom, and whereas the Folsom Junior Bulldogs organization is committed to both academic and athletic excellence, And whereas members of the Folsom Junior Bulldog football and cheer teams maintained a grade point average of 3.0 or better during the football and cheer season. And whereas this level of academic achievement merits recognition from the Board of Directors of Folsom Youth Football and Cheer and the City of Folsom. Now, therefore, I, Sarah Aquino, Mayor of the City of Folsom, on behalf of the Folsom City Council and the Folsom community, do hereby extend commendations in the highest regard to the members of the Folsom Junior Bulldogs who earned the Excellence in Academics and Athletics Award 2024 and encourage their continued scholastic excellence in the future. Commended this 25th day of February 2025. Well, good evening. Welcome to City Hall. All of you football players and cheerleaders that was all the fancy language. I just want to say very simply, first of all, congratulations on all your hard work and your success on and off the field. And I also want to say thank you, because when you wear a shirt or a sweatshirt or a uniform that says Folsom on it, you're not only representing the Folsom Junior Bulldogs and yourself and your family, but you're representing the City of Folsom. And so we appreciate that you do that so well. So we're going to go ahead and somebody's going to read your name for the certificate. You're going to come out up here, just quickly, your name, maybe what school you go to in your grade, and then you can file on out. Your parents can take whatever pictures they want, okay? All right.
All right. First up, Carson Dudley.
We're just going to hold the applause, and we'll do a thunderous round at the very, very end, okay? Otherwise, we're going to be here all night. We'll just shake hands. Want to say your name and your grade?
Carson Dudley, 4th grade.
Good job. All right.
Hunter Smith.
You can just hold it.
Good job. Shake hands.
Congratulations.
Hunter Smith, 6th grade.
Caleb Caldwell.
Caleb Caldwell, 6th grade.
Nice job, Caleb.
Quinn Stock.
Quinn Stock, 6th grade.
Good job. Congratulations.
Colin Lafredez.
Colin Lafrades, 6th grade.
Good job.
Jacoby Ward.
Jacoby Ward, 6th grade.
Isaiah Verdugo.
Isaiah Verdugo, 5th grade.
Brent Beiersdorf.
Brent Beiersdorf, 8th grade.
Zach Kosovic.
Zachariah Kozovic, 6th grade.
Tucker Castrillo.
Tucker Castrillo, 7th grade.
Isaac Kosovic.
Isaac Kozovic, 5th grade.
Austin Wingard.
Austin Wingard, 7th grade.
Nick Stone.
Nick Stone, 7th grade.
Everett Klockenbrink.
Everett Klockenbrink, 8th grade.
Carl Dempsey, 4.
My name is Carl Four, and I'm in 8th grade.
Carter Reinhardt.
Carter Reinhardt, 7th grade.
Gabriel Vargas.
Gabriel Vargas, 6th grade.
Ethan Fudala.
Ethan Fudala, 7th grade.
Tyler Fudala.
Tyler Fudala, 6th grade.
Lily Fudala.
I'm Lily, and I'm in 5th grade.
Bryn French.
I'm Bryn French, and I'm in 5th grade.
Janessa McCall.
Janessa McCall, and I'm in 4th grade.
Isabel Verdugo.
Isabel Verdugo, 4th grade.
These are out of order. Hang up. I got to mix up. I've got Daphne Servin.
Daphne Servin, 6th grade.
Audrey Han. Yeah, I'm missing a couple.
I'm Audrey Hand, and I'm in 7th grade.
Isabella King.
I'm Isabella, and I'm in 7th grade.
Okay, Ava.
Ava Grease, 7th grade.
Ava will hand deliver it.
Yeah, we will. We have it in the back. So sorry about that, bud.
Matta Reginato, 8th grade.
Oh, here.
All right, one big round of applause. Oh, I think we want to do one big group picture, Christine. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, if you guys want to come down here while they're, you guys come on right down here. Taller ones in the back. While they're doing that, let me just give a thank you to all the coaches, the parents who drive these kids around, the board members who volunteer their time. These programs don't happen with all of that parental support.
Other kids in the back, right here. Boys.
You go this way. You go this way. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, you can go right there. Yep. All right. Come on back here. You're taller.
I'm so sorry. We had yours, and I don't know where it got filtered in. I'm sorry.
Someone took two.
Someone took two.
All right, we're going to let all the parents take one, and then once they're done, we're going to have Andrew from the city take the official photograph, okay? This is the parents' turn. All right, now we look at Andrew in the back center. All right, thank you very much. You're welcome to stay for the entire meeting if you like.
Here, do you want to put more of this?
Yeah, I'll go do it. No.
All right, while they're filing out, we'll go ahead and call the next item and let him get his slides set up, please.
Okay, your next item. Your next item this evening will be item number 3. This will be a presentation from SACOG regarding the 2025 Blueprint Project.
We do not have a certificate of commendation for you. I'm sorry, James.
I thought they were all here for me. I do have a team photo at the end of this. I just want you to know. It's going to come back around. Okay. Good evening. I'm James Corliss. I'm Executive Director of the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, or SACOG. We have Councilmember Kozlowski here, who faithfully serves on the SACOG board every month. And I wanted to bring you this evening a little bit of a presentation about our long-range plan and where our long-range plan called the Blueprint stands, what we've heard in all of our outreach, what we've learned, and kind of next steps. So here we go. So you may all know this, but as the Council of Governments for the 6-county region, we're unique in many ways, one of which is that twice a month, every single jurisdiction in the 6-county greater Sacramento region sits around our board table. So all 22 cities, all 6 counties, everyone from Folsom to the county of Sacramento to Ileton and Colfax and Wheatland and Woodland, all sit around that table twice a month. And the plan that we're developing, which really is a long-range plan, it looks out to the year 2050, so 25 years from now. It looks at transportation, housing, land use, jobs. It's guided by a triple bottom line framework of equity, economy, and environment. And it really is a plan that is critical to meet both kind of state and federal mandates. It's critical, though, for all of us and your staff here at the city to really use to go out and advocate for state funding and for federal funding when we go back to DC to things like cap to cap. We've done more outreach and engagement in this plan than we've ever done on any of our long-range plans. We've done focus groups, polling, surveys. We've spent a lot of years and we've learned a lot. We've worked with a lot of community-based organizations all over the region and had them actually help us implement a lot of the outreach that we've done. And these are the sort of 7 principles that we've learned. We've put all the sort of findings together, and I want to focus on 2 of these in particular. One is provide housing options for all incomes and life stages. And the second is to support safe and convenient transportation options. May seem to make a lot of sense. One of our focus group respondents said, "I would love a robust, clean, and safe public transportation system." When we did a lot of our surveys to people across the 6 counties, and typically people think of this plan, the Blueprint, as a transportation plan, but when we surveyed on the topic of a transportation plan, the first thing that came back and the highest response was lack of housing, lack of affordable housing. My kids and my grandkids can't afford to stay here and afford to live here and buy a home, followed by public safety and followed by a lack of transportation choices and options. We've learned a lot, too, through our technical analysis. As I said, this plan is really a plan that knits together upwards of $40 billion of future investments in infrastructure for the next 25 years. And that is infrastructure that's not even enough, frankly, to actually keep up. And you're going to hear from your staff in a second about some of the challenges we have with funding. But if you look on the far left-hand side of this graph, these next 5 years, we are going to remain one of the fastest growing regions in California. So as of the 2020 census, we were the fastest growing metropolitan region in California. We are way above, as you can see in the pink line, the U.S. growth, and we're way above even statewide growth. So as parts of California are losing population, we are gaining it. I get the sense you might feel that here in Folsom on a day-to-day basis. That growth rate, though, will slow down. It's simple demographics that our rate of growth over time and over the next few decades will drop. But nevertheless, that housing is the number one issue you saw is probably in part because we have been, since the Great Recession, in a housing deficit. So we have not built enough housing to keep pace with population growth. We need to build on average about 10,000 to 11,000 housing units a year across the 6 counties. And in the depths of the Great Recession, we were down at 4,000 or 5,000 units a year. We've only now just ticked up recently to above 10,000 housing permits in a single year. We're a region and across the 6 counties that, as I mentioned, is one of the fastest growing, and as of the 2020 census was about 2.5 million people in its total population. We project and forecast about another 600,000 residents here in 25 years in the year 2050, which would put our metro region at about 3.1 million people. That is about the size of metropolitan Denver today. In fact, we took our board to Denver last year to look at the decisions that Denver made 20 years ago to actually accommodate the growth. So if you think about us being Denver in 20 years, there's a lot to learn from actually what Denver did 20 years ago. Another 260,000 jobs, and that all translates into we need about 278,000 housing units to be built between now and 2050. In the city of Folsom, and these are projections that can ebb and flow and go up and go down, but we project 30,000 more people, 10,000 more jobs, and 14,000 more housing units just within the city. This is a map of the sort of urbanized and built footprint versus the light blue new growth areas that are in our plan. You can see south of 50 in Folsom Ranch there. About 2/3 of our future population growth is actually going to be on the dark blue and the dark blue areas, but a good third, a very healthy 100,000 housing units in those light blue near growth areas. And so one of our challenges that you feel here, I believe, is that balance between existing population and new growth areas, right? Transportation, traffic, air quality, housing, and everything else. So while this plan can sometimes feel like it's one big regional plan and we have one menu, one recipe for you in terms of where to go and what to do for transportation and housing, it really is actually a compendium of every local jurisdiction's priorities. And we know there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to future growth or even this plan. And so one thing we're doing a little bit different in this plan is we're going to literally have a section for every city and county that is your priorities around transportation and housing that are going to show up in the regional plan. And for this, I want to hand it over to Desmond here, just to give you a few examples of some of the local projects that fit into our regional plan.
Thanks, James. I'm Desmond Parrington, Planning Manager with the Community Development Department. As James mentioned, we've been doing a number of efforts to try and address the projected growth in our region, as well as help to revitalize existing infill areas. So as you can see on the map here, we have our Central Business District Vision Plan, which was recently adopted by the City Council. And again, the idea was to encourage revitalization, promote housing development in the area, support new and existing businesses, and really to help improve kind of multimodal connectivity. And again, with, as you'll hear later tonight, with roundabouts as well. On the transportation front, we've got the Empire Ranch interchange, which is in preliminary design, and staff is working to address Caltrans comments on that. Again, to create better connections between really the north and the south of 50. Bidwell is our only main connection point at this point in time. In addition, the council approved a number of changes to our general plan to help encourage more housing and mixed-use development around our light rail stations and then along the East Bidwell corridor to support existing commercial development, but also put people closer to transit. We've been the beneficiary of a number of SACOG grants, including grants through their Green Means Go program, which has allowed us to do many of these efforts. There's also been the work on the Folsom-Placerville rail, the trail gap closure there to provide good bicycle connectivity down on Placerville Road and into the Folsom Plan area, again, trying to bridge that connection between kind of the north and the south of our city. So those are some of the highlights, and we continue to do this work throughout the city to help plan and prepare for the implementation of the blueprint and for the needs of our current and future residents. So, James.
Thanks, Desmond. So, Desmond gave you a pretty good sense there on transportation. I will say I know Empire Ranch is a real big priority. It is in the plan, just in case you were wondering, along with some of the other projects that Desmond mentioned. So, again, we've done a lot of outreach. We've done a lot of analysis. This is a plan that the draft plan will be released this May. Will be released along with the EIR and open for a public comment period. It'll come back to our SACOG Board of Directors in September for a final review, and we hope for adoption and certification this November, so this calendar year. This is important, as Councilmember Kozlowski knows all too well. because among the requirements that we have to meet in this plan is a reduction of carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions by state standards out to the year 2035, which is sort of a midway point in the plan. If we don't achieve a 19% reduction, we face the risk of losing out on some state transportation funds. I'm happy to tell you right now, so far, with where the plan stands, we're just about there. We're just about making it, but we've got longer to go. So just a couple other things just to round it out. Desmond mentioned a lot of the infill areas, and Green Means Go is our program to try to revitalize central business districts like yours. You actually did very well in our regional funding applications for Green Means Go. I know you're the home of many trails, but we actually have a plan to connect the entire 6-county region with a network of actually paved trails. We have lots and lots of gaps all over the region in our trail network. You're not necessarily one of them, but connecting, as Desmond was just mentioning earlier, to the larger region is key. Down to the bottom left corner, we actually have, the board just approved a new funding round of state transportation funds that is going to be announced with the grant applications launched. The call for projects next month. And then finally, one of our sort of exciting projects is, while we're a really fast-growing region, we got to work together as 6 counties. We're also actually in an MOU. Again, Councilmember Kozlowski is part of this mega region working group with the Bay Area and the Northern San Joaquin Valley. So we actually have a dozen projects we've been advocating for. Many of them are shown on that graphic there. We go to state capitol, we go back to DC, and we go and fight for those with our partners actually in the San Francisco Bay Area and the Northern San Joaquin Valley. So there is no more important a time for teamwork and pulling together. This is actually a photo from one of our board meetings where we actually had SACOG, the Air District, Sacramento Regional Transit, and SMUD boards all meet at the same time in a joint board meeting. Never been done before. You may recognize some people on that slide. And I often get, as I'm giving these presentations, a bit of a question about what is happening in terms of the new federal administration. What does that mean for our region? Where's grant money going to come from? How do we remain competitive? And here's our answer: is we have to be a team. See, I knew I was going to bring it back to the former no certificate, but you all look good in purple. So that's really it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope it gave you a bit of a sense of this plan, the next few months of adoption. We're hoping to get it out for public comment in May. It has lots of your growth and land use and transportation projects in that plan, and I think it will help all of us make a case, both in the state capitol and in Washington, D.C., for the right kinds of investment. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments? I'm going to start with Councilmember Kozlowski, since he's our SACOG rep.
Thank you very much for that presentation, a good encapsulation of everything. I just want to say that I remain particularly excited about both Green Means Go as a mechanism for us helping meet the greenhouse gas emissions targets that we live with, and the Trails program, because everybody here knows that all trails lead to Folsom. So we have connections out into all counties, basically from where we're at, and we'd like to see those extend all the way to both oceans. So thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Vice Mayor, anything over here? Councilmember Leary?
I really appreciate the work that you've been doing on this for a few years. I've been following it prior to when I was elected to the council. And I'm a retired nurse practitioner, so a big interest for me is improving our air quality, since we have 7th worst in the nation. And I think that, this plan focuses a lot on the health impacts of what needs to be done. And so I hope to see this accepted throughout the SACOG region and implemented. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, and as Mayor Aquino knows, we work very closely with the Air District on this. So we've got federal air quality standards, state carbon reduction standards to meet. And as Councilmember Kozlowski said, the kind of the cool thing about something like Green Means Go, which is really a way to implement our plan. Like, we are planners who don't just want to plan, we want to do. We want to do it with your staff, which I hope you got a sense of just a second ago. Green Means Go is our answer to basically try to meet, frankly, the state's environmental and greenhouse gas goals, but We don't talk about it that way. We talk about it as economic development and more housing opportunity. We got money from the state to invest in water and sewer infrastructure upgrades all over the region so that we can actually spark some of that, what you would call economic development, right? So we can meet environmental goals on local terms. And that is completely a homegrown program to be able to meet a state mandate kind of on our terms. So that sort of intersection for us is really important. I think part of the value that we can bring working with your really awesome staff here at the city. So,
Great. Thank you very much for coming out. I think we're good.
okay, thank you.
All right, next item, please.
Okay, that takes you to your consent calendar this evening.
Anybody have an item they want to pull?
I'd like to pull item number 6. I just have a couple questions.
Okay.
I think, might be helpful for everyone to hear the answer to.
Then I will entertain a motion to move items 4, 5, and 7.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach,
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Leary,
Yes.
Rathel.
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes.
Okay, and item number 6, I won't read you the whole title, but it is resolution number 11330. This is a resolution directing the preparation of engineers' reports for all the landscaping and lighting districts for fiscal year 25-26.
Jamison Larson, come on down. Councilmember Leary.
Thank you for coming and staying a little bit late this evening. I just had a question that came up, and I was actually contacted by some of the residents in my neighborhood about, and that was the inclusion of Natoma Station in the lighting and landscaping districts, all 30 of them, to be reinitiated or approved again tonight, since we recently had an approval passed to when you were looking at talking to the neighborhood about changing our lighting and landscaping fees. So that was confusing for a few people, so I thought it was fair to bring this up in public. And, you know, the other piece of that is that 7 out of the 30 districts have had those kinds of assessments done, the engineers' reports, in the last few years because they did raise their fees. So are these all 7 included in that list because that's an annual requirement, or are there additional sites that you're looking at that will need to undergo some adjustments in the fees for the L&Ls? So that's one question. Sorry, it was a little long.
I had it as 3, but.
You know the history. And then the other concern that I had, that there was some sort of public misinformation about these lighting and landscaping district fees being a tax. And I'm hoping that you can clarify that and kind of go over what they serve and why that fee is an annual fee for people in lighting landscaping districts that don't have a homeowners association.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'm Jamison Larson, Senior Management Analyst with Parks and Recreation. So the first question was related to Natoma Station. I believe it was January 28th, we brought an item for Natoma Station to initiate the ballot proceedings for that. So Natoma Station is also included here. If the March 25th at the public hearing, if that passes, then Natoma Station will be removed from this 30 district report. They're running on parallel tracks currently. If it's approved, the one in tonight's item will be removed, and we'll go forward with that one. However, if that doesn't pass at the public hearing by a vote, then we would need to keep this district remaining. The second one was the 7 districts that have recently gone out for reassessment. So we have annual reporting requirements. It's a 3-step process every year for lighting and landscape districts. This is the first step of the process, ordering engineers' reports to be created. So they do that every year for every existing lighting and landscape district. There are additional districts that are in financial hardship that will be doing a similar process of going into the Prop 218 process to offer the residents the opportunity to vote on a new assessment. And then the last one is, I believe it was related to it being a tax. Is that,
It was misrepresented in a local publication as a tax. And, you know, my understanding has been, I'm sorry, that, you know, this is actually not a general tax. This is something specific to each district to support a variety of services that are provided by the lighting and landscaping districts. So I just didn't know if you could kind of go into a little more detail about that. So the 30 people that live in the 30 lighting and landscaping districts have a better understanding of what a lighting and landscaping district is.
okay, yeah, that's not a problem. So landscaping and lighting district is a funding mechanism to pay for maintenancing and servicing of different assets within the district that provide a special benefit to the homeowners of that district. And so the money is collected from the residents in that district. It can only be spent on certain assets that are outlined in their engineer's report and their formation documents. It can't be spent in any of the other 29 districts. It's very, very detailed where that money can be spent and on what assets within the district it can be spent.
So could you, do you mind just giving kind of an example of what sort of assets that it supports?
Yeah, no problem. So landscaping, so your tree maintenance, your medians and streetscapes within your neighborhoods, if you're within one of those 30 neighborhoods. American River Canyon has a waterfall that's included in their landscaping and lighting district. Each district is unique in what is maintained. So some areas have fences included and other areas don't have fences. Some have sound walls. So every district is unique in what is maintained, and that's all outlined in their formation.
Do any of them have public art?
Public art as well. Natoma Station has public art within their mini medians, and that's one of the assets.
Very good, thank you.
So basically, it's a mechanism for providing ongoing maintenance for all of the public facilities within each district. And
yeah, so it's not too dissimilar to an HOA. On the private side, an HOA would maintain similar assets. We have a couple of different mechanisms: community facilities districts, lighting landscape districts, and public business improvement districts that we utilize to maintain those assets that provide a special benefit to the residents.
okay. I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but I really appreciate you explaining all of that to eliminate any confusion that might be out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jameson. Would you like to move the item, Councilmember Leary?
Oh, I'd like to move item number 6 on the consent calendar.
All right.
Second.
We have a second. Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Council members Rohrbaugh.
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Leary.
Yes.
Rathel.
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. Next item, please.
All right, that wraps your consent calendar and takes you to your one and only public hearing this evening. This is item number 8, resolution number 11329. This is a resolution approving the issuance of the California Municipal Finance Authority exempt facility bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $25 million for the purpose of financing or refinancing the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of Harrington Grove Apartments and certain other matters relating thereto.
Good evening, Stephanie.
Good evening, Mayor Aquino, Vice Mayor Rathel, council members, Stephanie Henry, Community Development Department. I have a quick slide I'm going to pull up. Just a slide for some reference. Okay, so we are here this evening to conduct a public hearing pursuant to the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA. So TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held by the governing body of the jurisdiction in which a project to be financed with tax equity financing is located, and that governing body approves the financing. The developer, Pacific West Companies, has asked that the California Municipal Finance Authority, the CMFA, be the issuer of tax-exempt financing in an amount not to exceed $25 million of tax-exempt revenue bonds to finance or refinance the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of a 52-unit multifamily rental development for extremely low, very low, and low-income households at the location of 791 Harrington Way in the city of Folsom, California. The CMFA is a joint powers authority formed to assist local governments, nonprofit organizations, and businesses with the issuance of both taxable and tax-exempt debt. It is important to note that the debt to be issued by the CMFA will be the sole responsibility of the borrower, and the city will have no financial or legal obligations or responsibilities regarding the repayment of the debt. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation of the city. The city will bear no cost in the issuance of the proposed debt, and this is a private loan with the borrower and their bank. So it is recommended that the City of Council adopt Resolution 11329, approving the issuance of the bonds by the CMFA to the borrower. Such adoption is solely for the purposes of satisfying the requirements of TEFRA, the code, and the California Government Code Section 6500. In closing, I would just like to note that Mike Kelly, who's representing the developer, and Jared Suzuki with CMFA are both here this evening if you have any questions regarding this action.
Okay, any questions for Stephanie or our guests before we open the public hearing? All right, we will open the public hearing. Do we have any requests to speak?
You have no request to speak on this item.
Then we will close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion.
I will move resolution number 11329 for approval.
I'll second it.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Rohrbaugh.
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Leary.
Yes.
Rayfield.
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. Next item, please.
Okay, your last discussion item this evening is new business item number 9. This is a presentation of findings from the roundabout feasibility study and direction to staff with the sub-item of resolution number 11331, adopting new planning and design standards pertaining to the use of roundabouts as traffic control.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Krista, I hope you appreciate we keep our titles short in public works. So.
Oh, I do.
We're very pleased to share this presentation with you this evening. It's a result of pretty extensive analysis that staff and the consultant have undertook here.
Won't transfer. Let me see. Hang on.
There we go. There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this originated back in January 2023 when the City Council directed staff to proceed with a roundabout first policy. Taking that direction, that led to a general plan update last year where we finally incorporated the roundabout first policy language into the general plan. In between those two actions, staff pursued grant funding through the SACOG Community Design Program and was awarded $400,000 to do a feasibility study and develop design standards. And then STA actually came forward and provided our local match. So the entire feasibility study was grant funded. So this evening, we will, you have two items before you. The design standards is in the form of a resolution. We do not anticipate that there's really any discussion there. We just need to incorporate those design standards so that engineers and planners that do future work in the city of Folsom, have a guideline for development of roundabouts. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the city staff that worked with the consultant. This was primarily Ryan Chance and Zach Bosch in Public Works, Desmond Parrington and Rebecca Neves in Community Development provided great input that led to these extensive design standards. With us this evening is the consultant team from Kimley Horn. We have Sean Hauk from Kimley Horn, And here on his last day, where he can claim to be 40-something years old, we have Matt Ware from a vice president from Kimley Horn, and Stephen Dillon, who will be doing the bulk of the presentation this evening. The feasibility study, which is the topic of the presentation, we identified 13 intersections that we wanted to analyze. The first group were intersections throughout the city of Folsom that had been identified in our general plan as failing our level of service policy when the city reaches build out. In other words, a traffic signal would not be able to accommodate the flow of traffic without excessive delay. So we wanted to explore the use of roundabouts as an option to minimize that delay and keep the traffic flowing. We then also looked at one sample intersection south of 50, a future intersection at Alder Creek and Prairie City, just to demonstrate how a roundabout would be more effective at controlling the traffic, if that's what the analysis concluded, and generally would allow for a narrower roadway to mimic the same amount of capacity that a signal would allow. And then lastly, because of the Central Business District vision plan, we added 5 intersections within the Central Business District, some of which are existing traffic signals, others are just existing uncontrolled intersections, to show what roundabouts could look like if we were to pursue them as part of that vision plan. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Stephen Dillon. He's going to walk you through the findings from the feasibility study, the scoring system that was employed, and what our collective recommendation for moving forward would be. And then I'll come up and finish up the presentation.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. My first time speaking to you all, so a pleasure. As Mark mentioned, my name is Stephen Dillon. I work with Kimley Horn. I'm a licensed civil engineer in California, and I've been with Kimley Horn for just about 4 years. My anniversary was March 8th, 2021. So in that time, in that 4 years, I've been involved not just on this project in the city of Folsom, but also on a number of other efforts, the ITS implementation plan, traffic engineering on-call services, working with Mark and his group as staff augmentation, and also with the Empire Ranch Interchange project. So familiar with the city. So as Mark mentioned, this is just a general overview presenting spatially where the 13 intersections are located throughout the city. And the process that we took for analyzing and assessing the feasibility of the intersections all started with the city's 2035 general plan. So taking build-out volumes from the general plan and then using Sidra, which is a traffic analysis software, to determine the necessary lane configurations at the intersections, so the number of lanes on approach, the number of turning lanes, and then using that information to develop concepts. So some preliminary concepts at each intersection. It became apparent through the process that 2 of the intersections, intersection 3 and intersection 11, were not going to be feasible for roundabout control. Intersection 3 has limitations with its proximity to an existing bridge, would have required some excessive or would have required a good amount of right-of-way take that led to it being deemed infeasible. And then the East Bidwell Iron Point intersection, as we went through the process, just an ever-increasing number of lanes that were necessary and also would have led to substantial right-of-way take. So those 2 intersections were removed from the future processes. But the rest of the intersections, the remaining 11, those were deemed viable for future consideration, and that's what we'll walk through here. So in order to assess how the intersections stacked up relative to one another, we had to develop a composite benefit score for the 11 intersections. Some of these criteria are somewhat self-evident, but the health and safety criteria was based on local road safety plan data. I believe you were presented that a couple weeks ago. So using data from that, if a roundabout could be deemed to improve the safety of an intersection relative to the data that we were provided in the LRSP, it scored high. Traffic operations, again, this is something that was compared to the 2035 general plan, as Mark summarized. If the intersection was found to perform better, substantially better than an intersection that would be failing under its current control, that would receive a higher score. Project setting and right-of-way impacts, opportunities for third-party funding through grants or developer impact fees, the potential for aesthetics and placemaking enhancements, and then transit and active transportation benefits. And so this is the outcome of the composite benefits scores. This was an iterative process to get to this point, developed in coordination with city staff, some of whom Mark identified earlier. And what stands out from this list are three locations, well, two locations on Riley Street that rank particularly highly, but then there's another on Riley Street as well that scores well. And then two intersections, one intersection 2, Folsom Auburn and Oak Avenue, and Blue Ravine and Oak Avenue that do not score as well in relation to their counterparts. So this chart is showing or repackaging the information that was provided kind of by color, but this is the approximate opinion of probable construction cost for each location. And so again, you're noticing that there's benefits to be gained right at intersections 7, 8, and 9 on Riley, and at the same time, those are lower on the scale of anticipated construction cost. So using that information, we had the previous two intersections, intersection 3 and intersection 11, that were ruled out early in the process. And then from the composite benefit score, further omitting intersection 2 and intersection 5, but finding that there's further 9 intersections throughout the city that were included in the study that could merit additional levels of engineering refinement beyond the preliminary concepts that were developed. So I wanted to zoom in tonight and focus a bit closer on the Riley Street intersections that scored so highly. Something that stands out is their just general proximity to each other. It really provides an opportunity for placemaking, especially as a corridor-wide improvement and a corridor-wide enhancement potential for traffic flow through that area. And we're going to take a closer look at what kind of those concepts look like here. So this is the Riley Street Bidwell intersection, intersection 7. First thing that stands out, at least in my mind when looking at this, is the relative amount of pavement, so dark gray being the pavement here, but much less pavement, much less space for a pedestrian to need to cross. And then also important to note how the footprint of the roundabout fits within the existing intersection. I recognize now, having looked at the presentation a little bit more, that it could be useful to juxtapose back and forth if there was a blank of what's out there today. But yeah, the roundabout footprint here fits within the existing intersection. Intersection 9, Riley Street and the Coles driveway, provides an opportunity for a mid-block crossing. Again, reduces pedestrian exposure and fits within the existing right-of-way. Something to note, and you can probably pick up a little bit on it here, but as part of the corridor-wide improvement, there would be a continuous median that would preclude mid-block turns, but this could be viewed as a safety enhancement as it eliminates unsignalized left-hand turns, which have a propensity for broadside collisions. And at the same time, the access to properties on both sides of the street is maintained with the facilitating of U-turn flows through these roundabouts through the corridor. So a vehicle could turn right, make the U-turn, and access something.
In this scenario, In this scenario, is the bike lane diverted onto the sidewalk to circumnavigate this, or are you putting bicycles into the flow with cars to use the traffic signal?
The first item that you mentioned is correct, yeah.
All right, gotcha.
And then moving on to intersection 8, Riley and Glen, similar benefits to what was said before, less pavement, less pedestrian exposure, and good for circulation. But I think as we flip through each of these slides and we think back on the criteria that were brought up for the composite benefit score with the traffic operations, safety, multimodal access enhancements, placemaking, it starts to become more apparent. Why these 3 intersections in particular stood out when we look at how the ranking went. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Not bad for his first presentation, huh? So next steps. The images that we just shared with you, as Stephen said, are highly conceptual. They demonstrate using our design standards what a roundabout could look like in these locations. The next phase of the analysis is where the consultant's going to do a deeper engineering dive into what is actually feasible, sharpen the pencil on those costs. Our recommendation is, we are going to move forward with the 9 highest scoring intersections. Our recommendation is that we start with the 3 on Riley Street, get those analyzed, develop any performance measures that we need to have for future grant programs, so that these 3 are positioned when the funding rounds become available, probably later this year, as Mr. Corliss said earlier this evening. We will continue to work on the remaining 6 intersections with an eye towards finding grant opportunities for those as well. But our recommendation is that we focus on the 3 on Riley Street as one comprehensive project. We do have the concepts for the remaining intersections. They are in the presentation. If anybody's curious about any of them, we can certainly pull them up. Again, I would caution you, these are highly conceptual. We don't have any level of information about where signs and lighting would go, or driveway access to private businesses. None of that is addressed at this stage of the process. We're just, one, we've identified which ones pencil out the best, and 2, we're going to do the deeper dive into the design and the construction. When we do get to when these become projects, there would be robust community engagement to make sure that we fully vet it with all the stakeholders. Okay. So that, I believe, concludes our presentation. The team, city staff and consultant team are available to answer any questions that you all have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mark or Stephen? I'll start here with Councilmember Warbell.
Yeah, can you go back one slide?
Sure.
Just so I have that for reference. But you said you're going to continue the next step is to study performance measures.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about what that means? What are you looking for at this point?
So a lot of it will have to do with air quality, where we can quantify, the air quality benefits associated with a roundabout versus a traffic signal. That's an important criteria. If we need any metrics having to do with active transportation modes, like volumes of pedestrians or cyclists that could be served, we could look into that and make sure that our designs properly accommodate for those modes. Again, a more robust, now that our design standards, assuming they get approved by you all this evening, we would make sure that the concepts that you've seen here this evening adhere strictly to those design standards, and that could change somewhat the initial costs that have been presented to you this evening.
One of the things that I talked about in the agenda review was my concern on accessibility to our current businesses. Building, having roundabout first policy be for new builds or new construction, new areas makes sense to me. In some of the areas, and particularly of interest is East Bidwell, because that's where we see a lot of our problems. But that's also where a lot of our businesses have, and parking lots have been built a long time ago. They don't have accessibility within each other a lot of times, so roundabouts can really limit that. I would like to see some sort of measure that you're studying that looks at the accessibility, the reduction of accessibility, or will it increase it, and what kind of things you can do to remedy that. I think I'd like to see some sort of a provision, or like there was the measuring of, I can't read it, but whatever this says, this thing. The impact for certain things, health and safety, traffic operations. I would like to see something about the impact for our businesses and residents. I'd like to see that in this, clear direction going forward on the next performance measures, because I think we could see it affect a few of these on the scale. I'm absolutely, totally in favor of the first three that you recommended. I think Riley is a great street to start because I think there's more availability there to do a roundabout. But again, my concern on East Bidwell is going from 5 lanes to 2 lanes on each side and a turning lane down to a single roundabout. And then the accessibility to the businesses in and out of there. So I know that that this is a concern of some of our public as well. So I'm not sure how you could put that in the languaging. Do you have any solutions for that?
Again, at this point, we're looking at concept. If we're going to move forward with the Riley roundabouts as a project, then we would take that next level of analysis of, are there places where in between the roundabouts that we could consider a turn pocket, like a left turn into the business. Maybe not a left turn out, but a left turn in, if it doesn't interfere with the operations of the roundabouts. Now, the Riley case is vastly different than what we might look at East Bidwell, because those roundabouts on Riley are kind of equally spaced, they're fairly close. So if someone were to only have right turn access from a driveway, they wouldn't have far to go to find a roundabout to circulate back and get to that business. If the roundabouts are spaced further apart, we might conclude that, yeah, it's a little onerous for someone to drive past a business and have to go, a quarter of a mile or a half a mile to the next roundabout to come back. And in a case like that, we might consider providing interim driveway turn pockets. Again, until we actually develop a plan, a design for East Bidwell Street, really hard to answer that. If we're only going to look at one roundabout on East Bidwell Street, it's different than if we looked at the entire corridor.
Well, I do appreciate what you're saying, but if we're going to study it in one, I think we should study it in all. So I would like to see, if we're going to focus on the 3 on Riley that were mentioned, then I would like to see information brought back about the impact it will have on those businesses. So then in turn, when you move forward and study the other locations, you're doing the same thing, and we see the impact on those businesses to accessibility. And I will push back a little bit that I do think people are creatures of habit and convenience. And if they have to go down a block to turn around because they miss an Amazon's so easy already. We're already fighting that battle. One of our things with the Central District is revitalization of that area for our businesses. And this is kind of counterintuitive to that. So I would like to see it where with the 3, if we all agree on the priority of those 3 locations, that we're looking at the impact there first, kind of working those kinks out as a measurement tool. And then that way we have it in place. It's not a slippery slope.
Got it.
Councilmember Leary, any questions?
Yeah, I was kind kind of assuming that these performance measures would be looking at traffic flow through those areas and accessibility to businesses. So we would look at the big picture. And we're not prioritizing those, the area where we're going to look first tonight, or are we? That's one question I have.
Well, yeah, if the direction of this council is to focus on the Riley corridor, then we will take the design to that next level where we can assess what the impact to each driveway is. Are there locations where we could conceivably allow supplemental access? And we'll be able to analyze, what the impact on traffic flow would be.
Well, Riley's one of the worst streets to try to deal with during commute times, before and after school, business times, people that are still using the Rainbow Bridge to get across to the other side of the river. So I've lived in places that have had a series of roundabouts, and they really kept traffic moving instead of having lights and backups until the next block or 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see, what the big picture looks like along Riley. I think, from my point of view, that would be a great place to start. Yeah. I don't know if you have any other sites that you've looked at. You have mentioned some other cities that have a series of roundabouts along some of the major thoroughfares. And, it's not just a reduction in emission, it's a reduction in the costs of each driver's fuel to be able to keep moving. Right. I know it's a big educational effort, needs to take place with population that's not used to having them. But I'm in favor of proceeding with this project. I'm sure other commissioners may have comments or questions, but those were mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Wraith, any questions? We do have one comment from the public, so we're just doing questions right now.
Sounds good. What about including Wills at Riley? Could just being that that's the only other real traffic light that's in proximity to there.
Yeah.
I'll save my commentary on the Riley and Kohl's/Walmart intersection for after questions, but for now, let's just go with, if you're going to look at that corridor, why stop there? And then you could even go the other way. Like, I think of the traffic as really comes from the bridge back up there. It really backs up to these intersections. It's not really caused at these intersections typically. At least that's been my anecdotal experience. But you guys have all the data. So what are your thoughts?
As far as including Riley Wales, clearly it was not included in the initial 13. I can go huddle with the team to see how much budget we have left. What we might be able to do is, instead of taking all 9 intersections to a more detailed analysis, maybe we only do 8 or 7 more detailed, and use some of that budget to do the conceptual analysis at Riley and Wales and incorporate it into this study. I don't know the answer to that standing here this evening, but that's certainly one way we could approach it.
The right-of-way width of Riley is the same at Wales as it is at Glen. The Wales right-of-way may be a little narrower than Glen, but the park entrance is right there also, so we control the whole south side plus the right-of-way. So it's actually a spot where you probably don't need to do deep analysis except for traffic flows, because you can repurpose one of the other designs and just lay it over.
Right.
So.
Your pedestrian flow is probably much higher there than people walking across from Kohl's to Walmart. If I don't find what I'm looking for at Walmart, I don't walk over to Kohl's. I get back in my car and drive over, right?
It is a great way to connect the Aquatic Center to the Central Business District, which was certainly one of our goals in the vision plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one item, or one, go ahead.
Just one question, just to follow up. The Riley preliminary designs, or conceptual designs, those all fit within the existing right-of-way.
The one exception is the Riley-Glen intersection, which we took advantage of the unused property in front of the post office to move the center of the roundabout
Slightly to the
slightly
north.
off kilter, and that helped us to avoid any impacts to the gas station or the other two businesses in the other corners.
Yeah, but just looking at those, it didn't look like any of those proposed layouts actually impact driveway entrances to anything, with the exception of obviously radically improving the one to Coles.
That I agree with that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, call our first speaker, please, our only speaker.
Yeah, your speaker this evening is Dan Dreyer. Come on down.
Good evening, Dan. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor, Justin, Vice Mayor, and all the council members. My name is Dan Dreher. I just wanted to say that I thought I served on the committee, on the advisory committee, looked over a lot of these plans with everybody, with Pam. Pam did a great job with the whole layout of everything. And one of the things that is a concern of ours is, of course, the business accessibility. And going to get to, we came up as a committee as a first step plan to look at Riley Street first, only because of the inaccessibility between, if you pull into any part of Walmart or Kohl's, you can get to all the businesses from that. So it created the roundabouts did not create any disadvantages to the businesses. One of the things that drove us to come tonight was because a lot of the comments that were made online, probably prematurely, had mentioned East Bidwell Street. And the concerns on East Bidwell Street is the accessibility within. It's smaller areas, the business accessibility through crossing over becomes very limited. So we just wanted to just bring that to everybody's attention as we move forward looking at this, that those streets were never designed for that. And there's some concerns of being able to access business from roundabouts because of the medians that are going to be created in each direction after each roundabout's formed. So that was my main concern. Just wanted to bring it to the attention because I didn't see that originally when this was presented.
Okay.
But it's good to see that the advisory group and the consultants came to the same conclusion on Riley Street. There's a lot more room there to play with it, more accessibility.
Good. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
All right, that will bring it back to the council. So we're looking for a couple things. One, there is this resolution to approve the new planning and design standards. And then it sounds like everyone's in agreement that we prioritize these Riley intersections.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a few
You got a few
comments
comments?
on
Okay.
it, on that Riley intersection in particular. If that's all
Okay,
right.
yep.
Now's the time. I am a little hesitant. I'm always thinking about, hey, it's great to study things, but eventually there's going to be an ask. Even if we end up with a grant of some sort, we're probably going to have to pony up some funds in order to make these projects happen. So I went and kind of drove around there and thought about it a little more. I was in Golden 20 plus years ago, Golden, Colorado, which I know Mark and his team visited when roundabouts went in there. And my experience back then was that 4 roundabouts were done as a study, very similar to what we're talking about doing here. And those roundabouts were very close together. Where 2 roundabouts probably would have been made sense there, 4 roundabouts were put in. And it was a bit hard at that point for the community to handle that. Obviously, we've got different businesses, different traffic situations, different climate, a lot of different things going on. But I went out and I looked at that intersection. I thought, okay, even for $5 million later on, looking at that Kohl's Walmart intersection, which right now doesn't even have a light, and would we really go about changing that, putting in a center divider for a relatively low traffic intersection? I think I'd have a hard time, and maybe I'd come to a different conclusion after the study. But right now I look at it and go, I don't see that as really a viable option. If you guys want to take a look at it as part of the study, it may make sense as a corridor approach, but my preference would be to look at Wales, look at existing lights that are there to try to improve intersections that are already existing. I don't see a whole lot of traffic that's struggling to get out, even with that unprotected left turn. I'm not aware of any significant accidents that are there, although you guys just did the study. So when I look at it, I kind of go to health and safety and operations. I appreciate the matrix that's there, but really my top two are health and safety and traffic flow. And those are the top two priorities for me, and those should carry more weight than the other things in the matrix. And so when you're looking at things, that's what I would do. So that's just my feedback there on that Riley intersection. I'd rather look at those and possibly not look at Kohl's and Walmart. Or look at it in a much smaller way, not spend a whole lot of dollars and time on it.
Mark, question for you. So in terms of providing direction to staff regarding prioritization, we could just say, just start with the Riley corridor and forget the other 6 or whatever they were, right? And just start with this?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
And my only other thought on that is I look at some of those intersections like Folsom Lake Crossing. I think about the lights that I sit at right now and that irritate me. Oh, that's what I think of when I think of roundabouts is like, oh, I get to keep moving. I don't have to sit there and wait for 3 minutes while everybody comes and takes their left turn. And I would much rather, not have the nanny state telling me I can't take an unprotected left. I'd rather have those be available, but that's a whole nother issue right now. I think of Folsom Lake Crossing as a great option. For me, Folsom Auburn and Folsom Lake Crossing. The other one was
Can we put that slide back up that shows the different ones?
Sorry, Blue Ravine and Oak is the other one I sit at, and maybe it's just where I live and where I go, but I think of those intersections that I get really irritated as I wait for the 6 other traffic options to go. So yeah, Folsom Auburn Road at Folsom Lake Crossing makes a lot of sense to me. The other ones that scored pretty high, Blue Ravine Road at Prairie City, an 8 versus an 8.5. I don't know how much of a difference that is if you were to put more weight into health, safety, and operations.
A lot of it is the projected cost of that project versus the benefits.
Yeah, and I get that, but if we're prepping something for long term, if I'm looking to invest tax dollars in it later on, even with competitive grants, I want to significantly improve my traffic flow or my health and safety for those tax dollars at a meaningful, measurable intersection, not just do something because it's cheap and fits in the existing right of way and is next to something else that is there. So that's my thoughts.
So, Mr. City Attorney, could we do one motion with approving this resolution and prioritizing the intersections?
Madam Mayor, you can approve the resolution and provide direction to staff.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have no issue with the design standards.
All right.
They're wonderful.
Let's start there.
Can I just wanted to add something though, because I know everybody, there's been this focus on the Walmart parking lot across from Kohl's. And there's several blind intersections there when you're going to turn left. If you're coming out of Kohl's and you want to go left on Riley, that I've almost been hit because it's blind as people come up around that corner. So kind of having the series slows things down along that entire corridor. And it shouldn't interfere with people being able to get into Kohl's or Walmart, once they learn the routine. And so I didn't want to take it all the way off of the table, only because I think it could be useful. It could be, dropped off if it doesn't appear to aid in the accessibility of the businesses. And we all have a different experience because we all are living in our districts and we're driving different patterns, because I can think of streets that aren't on this list altogether that could be made safer. So, but I do like the Blue Ravine at Prairie City Road one as well. Thank you.
Let's start with the motion to approve resolution number 11331.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got motions and seconds. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrabaugh?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino?
Yes. Okay, so if we go down this list, what I'm hearing is we want to keep Folsom Auburn Road at Folsom Lake Crossing on, move ahead with the study of that.
We're not eliminating anything from this list. These are the ones that worked the best, or they were chosen first, right? So this is a long-term plan potentially for all 9 of these intersections to come
Right,
under
but if we
study.
want to prioritize some for further study and to prepare them for grant funding, that's what we're trying to give direction on, correct?
No, that's correct. We have only a limited amount of budget available remaining. If we want to add the Riley-Wales intersection, then we need to give somewhere else in order to provide some funding for that. I would also point out that the intersection number 13 at the bottom, Prairie City Alder Creek, this one's related directly to the metal shop project that is about to be submitted here to the city of Folsom. And so I would encourage you to keep that one as a relatively high priority so that we have that intersection studied and positioned to assist when that project lands in our laps.
Madam Mayor, can I make a suggestion that
Yes.
we toss overboard item 3 and 11, and we keep the rest of the list with focus on the 2 principal intersections on Riley Street, and then after that, take a look at the others in some reasonable priority that the staff can choose. Because I think each of us is going to have a favorite child here. Because I'd like to push the issue of figuring out if it's actually possible and practical to make an improvement at Glen and East Bidwell so that we decide if it's something we actually can do and practically not impose restrictions on any of those businesses. But I think there's great promise of a small road diet on East Bidwell in that space between the middle school and Glen. That could help us improve the sidewalks particularly and actually give some space to the east side of the road so that those parking lots can function more effectively. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm suggesting that there should be a median the whole way, but I do think that we can gain a lane in there by at least taking a look at it. And that was something I suggested to the gentleman when I talked to them originally. I still think that that's a reasonable one. So if I was choosing, I would say Riley, and Glen East Bidwell would be the top 3. But like I said, I think we're all going to have slightly different opinions here. But I think the Riley East Bidwell, Riley Glen make perfect sense. They fit within the existing right-of-ways. They're unlikely to infringe on anybody's driveway access. They do, in fact, act as an economic development driver for that area and can be, as you put it, a placemaking start for the Central Business District or an enhancement of placemaking for there.
So I personally think East Bidwell should be off the table at the moment until we do some of these test cases because there's some concern there from property owners. If it were me, I would prioritize 1, 7, 8, 9, 13, and maybe add the other Riley one that you're talking about, Riley and Wales.
Yeah, and really I'm bringing that up because I don't think you analyze these in isolation. These are nice discrete points, but I think this is really a system analysis, right? So the work that you do one intersection over, a lot of the work is the same. Correct me if I'm wrong, but traffic that goes through one of those intersections is likely going through the other.
Mayor, I'm in alignment with you. And to kind of go a little bit further, the 2 that scored outside of they're all different on this. Outside of the 2 that we're getting rid of, we're all agree to get rid of, that they've suggested don't work, 11 and 3. There were 2 more that did not score well. Number 2 up there and number 5 up there. Thank you. I would suggest just scrapping those. as well for further studies. But I'm more in alignment with what you're saying, Mayor. Your choices, which I can't.
1, 7, 8, 9, 13.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's just push 2 and 5 to the bottom of the list for research instead of scrapping them at this point, because those are really irritating intersections to me personally.
I agree with leaving them on the list.
We can just push them to the bottom, and if we still have funds available,
Yeah.
then do that.
Does that work, Mark? Do you have what you need?
And we're still adding Riley Wales for analysis.
If you think it makes sense, I don't want to override what you guys are doing, but to me, it's a system of those intersections, and to leave one light off on that place doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not the traffic engineer, so I will concede to you guys this greater experience in this, but I just want to suggest it.
Okay. Well, I'll huddle with the team and see what we can do with the budget we have left.
Well, I think that was his concern, though. If we're not scrapping any, now we're adding one. And I think, I'm not sure if there is clear direction. Are you studying 5 priorities, 3 priorities, or are you studying all of them now?
Well, if I'm reading the room here, we're doing everything on this list, adding Riley Wales ahead of intersections 2 and 5. Is that a good summary?
Is that going to be able to cut anything? I mean, cost-wise for you?
We might not get to 2 and 5 because we're going to focus on Riley Wales, which, you know,
Okay.
if that's the direction that y'all want to go with, we can make that happen.
Okay. All right, everybody good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Takes us to city manager reports. Mr. Haverty.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I just want to remind the council and our executive team that we have a special council meeting. It's a workshop this Friday morning, 8:30 to noon. I look forward to that. It's a continuation of our discussion. The items that we'll be studying more closely are finance. We'll be looking at land use planning and also purchasing. And then we're going to, as a last item, enter into an exercise on the application of the co-alignment theory for the city itself. I'd like to announce that the Folsom Fire Department welcomed its newest ladder truck stationed at Fire Station 35 by Walmart. And this enhances our city's emergency response capabilities. And for the first time, the city will have a reserve ladder truck ensuring seamless service when the primary truck is undergoing maintenance or out of service. And for the library, the Friends of Folsom Library book sale is back March 7th through the 9th. It offers thousands of books and media at great prices over there. And we have a number of congratulations. Congratulations to Folsom's newest police officer, William Lanson. He graduated from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Academy yesterday. We're excited to welcome Officer Lanson to the Folsom police family. We have some other new hires as well in the Community Development Department. Turaj Hosseini is the principal civil engineer, and joining him and the team is Jason Rojo, a plan check engineer who's also a licensed architect. And we have a retirement congratulation for Frank Campoy, served the city for 24 years as lead senior mechanic in the Public Works Department, so we congratulate him. You're smiling. Did I get that wrong? I got it right. Okay, good, thanks. And then in looking back on my long career as a city manager, I approached my last city council meeting this evening, and so my long career is 3 months and 2 weeks, I believe. So, but I really want to kind of build upon what was said for the women's soccer team tonight, and that is their culture of gratitude. I am very grateful to you, Mayor, and to Vice Mayor and the City Council for asking me to come here and help in some small way with the management administration of the city. And I also want to give a great thanks and a shout out to what I think is the greatest executive management team for local government. I have come to enjoy their company, become friends with them, and I will miss their camaraderie and our long discussions. So thank you so much, and we welcome our new city manager, Brian Whitemeyer, as the new manager. He's coming. His first day is March 10th. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dan. That takes us to council comments, and I actually wanted to kick it off, and you have teed me up very well, because we want to acknowledge you and sincerely thank you. You are the exact person we needed when we needed you, and we thank you for once again accepting the call to serve the city of Folsom. You are a leader in every sense of the word, and you know, although it's your first stint as city manager, I don't think it will be your last. Somebody else will be calling you. And you really just dove right in, meeting with employee groups, going out and meeting with businesses in the community, walking homeless camps. Last weekend, during the 3-day weekend, a resident texted me that there was some graffiti in Prairie Oaks, and so I texted Councilmember Leary and Mr. Haverty thinking that it would get taken care of on Tuesday morning. Well, no, our interim city manager was out there scrubbing the graffiti off of the utility box and painting over it himself. And so just we can't thank you enough, and I really do think that this 3.5-month transition, you've helped us prepare to welcome our next city manager. And so we're just so grateful for you. So
It's a good thing I'm not wearing a hat tonight. I didn't get it on.
All right, Vice Mayor Rathel.
And I'll echo the mayor's comments. We are very grateful that you took this job. I know it wasn't easy with 2 new elected city council members that felt like we needed to come in and make the wishes of our constituents heard and acted upon when you were really hired to listen and prepare the city for the next manager. So thanks for always taking my calls. Thanks for working on things that I viewed as a priority, and also cooling me off when needed. And I just appreciate your guidance. I've appreciated your friendship for many years, and just your outlook on life and on people. Very, very grateful for you stepping into this role, and I look forward to being your friend and hopefully working with you again in the future. Thank you.
Councilmember Kozlowski.
Ditto.
That's good.
I mean, yeah, great job. Yeah, I mean, you really did provide a nice, calm transition, and it was the right person at the right time for sure. Your experience as a minister served you very well. I don't have any other report.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Rohrbach.
Yeah, I have several, and I'll first address Dan. I think I obviously did, not obviously, but ditto to everything that the mayor said, but also I've also enjoyed our faithful conversations as well. And you're a great beacon of light for a lot of us, so I appreciate everything that you did. And I will transition. I do have a quick update. I'm going to update more later, but with SAC-RT, just for the public out there, they're going to add, they already have added a second guard throughout the Folsom stations, and then they're going to schedule more officers from 3 to 10 p.m. between the Folsom stations, getting on and off, to improve the safety and the homeless situation, the transient situation that has come with the rail. So anyways, that's really positive. We're going to try to set up a town hall here coming up to address the on time and the scheduling conflicts that are happening, as well as the safety issues. So I'm really happy with all they're doing to help us out here in Folsom. So I feel really positive about that role, being on the regional board. And then I do want to make a special acknowledgement to one of our sergeants, Mike Grunberg. I did my second ride along with him, my first with Mike, but my second with the city about 1.5 years ago, I think it was. And seeing him around interact with residents and people in businesses, and he's a well-loved person in this city. And I want to acknowledge him because on Thursday night, he accepted from the Veterans of Foreign Wars their Outstanding Public Safety Award, yearly award. And I want to highlight a few of the reasons. So Sergeant Grunberg started Folsom Folsom Police Department in 2007 after serving in the Marine Corps for 7 years. Sergeant Gruberg received a department commendation last year for spearheading a Shop with a Cop event for 10 Special Olympic athletes. He has played an essential role as the POP team supervisor in attaining the highest apprehension rate for theft at Dick's Sporting Goods nationwide. Even the store manager of Dick's praised Sergeant Grunberg and his team for the constant presence and support, noting that they never felt forgotten, even amid a statewide increase in retail theft. I think that speaks to Mike's character and his professionalism. Sergeant Grunberg has received 2 Bronze Star awards, one in 2023 and his first in 2013. A Bronze Star is the highest accommodation for bravery, kind of showing his longevity and of his dedication and service throughout the years. It goes on, but I think what needs to be highlighted is that during both his first and second years in the role of sergeant since 22, so in 23 and 24, he was awarded the Supervisor of the Year award. This is an honor determined by the votes of his peers and his subordinates, highlighting the respect and trust he commands among his fellow officers. While I had the privilege of going on the ride along with him, again, seeing him interact and deal with people's problems and conflicts initially, and even watching him deal with staff, he's an example of many other employees throughout our city. And I know that it was an honor for him to receive the award, and it's an honor for us to have him serve our city so well. So I want to thank you, Sergeant Mike Grunberg and Folsom PD.
Thank you. Well said. Councilmember Leary.
Thank you. And I want to add my thanks to our interim city manager, and I will really miss our conversations. I have to say that working with you is one of the greatest opportunities in my most recent career. That's up here. And I've really learned a lot of skills and, through your guidance and the information that you've provided us on how to work with others, effectively. And you're helping me kind of through the process of working with staff. You've come to some of the meetings with me with staff and come up with some other suggestions, ideas, or questions that I hadn't come up with. I also want to thank staff. I've had several meetings with our staff recently on different issues, and they've been great about bringing me up to date on upcoming things that they're working on, and talk to me about some of my ideas and how we might prioritize moving ahead with some of the things I'd like to get accomplished. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will adjourn at 8:12. Good night, everyone. Stacy.